After putting 8 years into Overwatch, I'm walking away. And this isn't easy, but Overwatch didn't give me much of a choice. Overwatch turned into an abusive ex who kept saying that they will change. And they will do for some time before they go back to using and abusing you. I am done. But who am I? Hi, I'm Will, and my story is like anyone else who loved and played this game, even through the toughest of times. We stuck through it from the GOATS meta to the terrible or slow balancing, to the lack of content, to the terrible loot box system. A system I put more than $2,000 into over the course of 6 years because I watched MuleSilk do the 101 loot box openings. I made videos from me playing the game, reacting to the trailers, character breakdowns. I did reaction content to Samito's videos and some of his takes on the game, to TDO Baron and his take on Venture not getting skins, to the Omnic Post and their take on the mythic aspects. But I am done. Overwatch 1 was an amazing game that I even get into. My friends who I played Gears of War with were playing it on the Xbox One and asked me to join them in the beta. And I'm like, sure, whatever. It's not Gears, so I'll play for a bit. And this was after Bastion lost his shield. But I remember one map in particular, the King's Row map, where we were defending, first point at the top, overlooking it through the hole in the wall. And one of them was Bastion, one was Ryan, and I was Mercy. And we had fun, so much so I kept playing it even after they stopped playing it shortly after it released. I even got my fiance at the time to play it and join me. She was a Gears of War fan. I got her into when we were together. A girl who grew up only watching her 2-year-older brother play games, to then getting with me, and I needed help beating Gears of War 1. Yes, original Gears of War 1, not the remastered open edition. I'm talking Gears of War 1 on the 360. And you know how I introduced her to the game? By having her play it on insane difficulty. And it took us a while, but we beat Rom, who to this day is still my favorite villain of all time. And I was so happy. She also made fun of me for having her go through her first ever game on the hardest difficulty, but we aren't here to talk about how bad I am as a person. No, we're here for Overwatch and Blizzard. When Overwatch 1 came out, I asked her for a long time, and at this point we were living together with my dad, to play Overwatch with me. And I wanted her to be Tracer, because I mean, look at her, she's hot. This is also before some other characters came out that are easily hotter to me. Brig for my ex, and Sombra for me. I mean, not gonna lie, I'm gooning over her black hat skin for real. But it took her a while to play with me. But after she fell in love with Mercy, the rest was history. But back to Overwatch. That game was a part of our lives for a long time, for her becoming a Brig main and gooning over her, to her even cosplaying as Witch Mercy or Brig and Tracer, to me being a Wish.com Reaper. I even made the gun for Soldier 76, and trust me, I spent a lot of time on that gun. Insert pictures here. Don't get me started on any of the merchandise that they had. I bought every single pop that they had except for one currently, and maybe like a handful of others. I bought backpacks, multiple backpacks, because the zippers would break, so I would just buy a new one. I even bought a sweater that doesn't even fit me, and the hats and the beanies. I bought so much of their stuff because I just love them. I even got some of this stuff signed by the actual voice actors themselves, and my favorite moment from that was meeting the voice actors for Junkrat and Roadhog and paying to have a picture taken with them, and they were hilarious. They were so funny. They hugged each other, and the Junkrat voice actor, I don't know his name, was like, oh, my Roadhog, and the Roadhog was like, oh, my Junkrat. And I kid you not, it was so hard to keep a straight face during that picture because it was just hilarious. It was a huge part of our lives right up to the end when we broke up, just a week before we were going to, I think, was the last or one of the last BlizzCons they were ever going to have at the time. For years I played Overwatch 1. Even though no content, no new characters, I kept playing it. I tried other games. I played Paladins for a little while as my break from Overwatch 1. And then I get updates, and soon we'll be having PvE events and hero missions, hero trees, that I was just thinking so hard on how to min-max just from a little bit they showed in the trailer, to then only have it rug pulled not just under me, but from under all of us. This promise, this thing we waited for years came out, and it wasn't better. One less character, more microtransactions, because the game needs to make money. When the update came through, and they then sold us old skins, recolors of old skins, recolors of new skins, skins not even worth the money they were priced at, the PvE event came out, and I was so excited, but when it didn't perform well, it was canceled. But through the rumor mill, it was already canceled before the game even launched. maps. So what is even the point of calling it Overwatch 2? You took away a person on each team, made it 5v5, priced the hell out of these skins, and trust me, I didn't even buy the first battle pass because I didn't have any money, but I bought each and everyone afterwards. I debated and caved into buying skins for my favorite characters, which was Ryan, so you can imagine how much my wallet was crying and how abusive I was to it for not having any money. Is this what they call an abusive cycle? I probably spent as much or more money on Overwatch 2 than I did Overwatch 1 because I have a decent paying job. I just, make meals last longer or not eat as much. For 2 years, I did that. When I saw Marvel Rivals, it was in alpha. I asked to join, then it came out in beta, and I got in. I had so much fun playing it. I was so happy. I played as Punisher until I found the glory that is my goddess, Scarlet Witch. When I played Marvel Rivals, I felt actual joy. And then I had to go back to Overwatch 2, and I literally counted the days leading up to Marvel Rivals releasing, and my mental health was just going down the longer I played Overwatch 2 until it came out, and I can't even load up Overwatch 2 anymore. Season 14 has a new tank hero. My main gets a mythic skin. Venture getting a top skin. One of the few literal anime girls I have a legitimate crush on was the last skin I bought. Not the battle pass, no grinding for the new skin. I just loaded up after playing a few games of Mario with my ex, and that was last week. She still, to this day, is trying to stream Overwatch, but the team chat doesn't work on her stream, and you can't hear anyone else talking. And also, let's talk about how bad and shitty the system is. From banning people for talking and making callouts, to slow patches, to either Orisa or Hog or Maga getting the merry-go-round of nerfs and buffs to micro buffs, keeping them in constant rotation, to the looking for group being gone, so you can't even find teams to look to join, to the Twitch drops being mid at best, and the league, oh my god, the league, the biggest failure they had was switching from Twitch to YouTube. I was there when the old magic was written. I paid to watch the Vancouver Titans and Bumper, or even Super, at times play Ryan, and I learned so much from them. That helped me climb to my peak of 3250. And then I fell off since. That was such a huge mistake because they chased easy money, not long-term money. They got fisted by YouTube and lost so much money and so much of their audience out of short-term greed. Who cares that they could have made more money down the road in the long term? They just wanted that quick and easy cash, and I hated that. But I still supported it. I watched every match I could and ended up buying a lot of the league skins, and I never had to spend, at least, that I can remember, any money on tokens to get what I needed. I thought about buying jerseys for the teams, but nope. When it came down to it, they said, fuck our players, we want cash. And it's mostly their fault. Jeff being this messiah of gaming, not being able to handle a live service game like you should have. Also, not to mention that he left in April 2021, and the whole sexual harassment scandals got released September 27th, 2021. That Bobby Kotick had 4 years kept under the rug and not going to say anything about how Jeff was a top executive at Blizzard for years at the company and the frat house culture they had there. And you're going to tell me Jeff had no idea it was going on? And it's not just a little bit weird that he wrote his goodbye so fast and so sudden. We joked about it being written on the back of a napkin? Yeah, something is up, and it ain't the player base of Overwatch 2. To Bobby Kotick himself, and all the scandals and the mismanagement, to just starting new projects, to ending them, the cancel of the workshop, to appeasing the shareholders. That one map event that a creator outside of Blizzard made an Atlantis map for us to play on, and we were supposed to get more of those. What happened to that? There was so much going on inside Blizzard, outside of Blizzard, that middle layer of Blizzard, that's called the Dermis. It was just a non-stop series of conflict. I went from loving this game for 7 years, but like the last year of my relationship, wanting some way, any way, to get out of it. And like this game, it needed to end. Just like I ended up to realizing I needed to walk away, in comes Marvel Rivals to show me that the grass is greener on the other side, that the future is so bright, and I actually found joy again in my life, in making videos, in making content that I loved aside from the other games I love. Here's a quick list. I'm done. I was done when 2 came out, and Apex sucks. I'm old and I can't play Fortnite. Paladins is okay, but I mean, who's watching Paladins? Yes, Greg. Yes, you, Greg. I know. You are watching it. That doesn't mean that it's good. And it's not fun. Also, I'm a Victor main. God, I could at least kill things in the game as a DPS. I don't even play DPS. If Overwatch wants me to come back, it's going to have to change so much. Like, drop the 1 and give up skins that aren't recolors. Give us weapons and specs that aren't behind a paywall. Hero balance to an actual PvE campaign. Not as Frito puts it from your Overwatch, Archives Plus, which had such a good story and everything, to actual cinematics and the lore that isn't just in a book, because I don't want to look at dead trees and have hallucinations. That is so easy and cheap to make. Just pay the intern, make Kiriko so much younger than Genji, but have the lore be that all three of them played together. This being Kiriko, Genji, and Hanzo. Like, I mean, come on. Somebody didn't read, and I could say that because I don't read. I'm an English only watcher for my anime. Subs. Here, the list is endless, and I hate to see it go. Actually, I'm not. I'm currently shoving it into a dumpster, lighting it on fire, and rolling it off a cliff because I'm so over it. Fix your game, and maybe I'll play it again. But I'm done. Marvel Rivals is here to take the throne because you sat at the top for so long. You didn't stop trying. You knew you didn't have to because your shills would defend you, and they would praise you like how Jim Cramer would say the Titanic could never be sunk, that it's the most unsinkable ship, not realizing that there's an iceberg in the distance just waiting to come get you. And hate on the doomers. Your whales would buy everything you have. Your toxic community would defend your actions and kiss the ground you walked on, and are so far up their own asses that they're licking their boogers from the back of their own noses. So live with that image in your head, because I had to live with the hope this game would get better, and it didn't. It was never going to. So it's time for someone else to take the title. You let not just rust, but covered in so much shit. The outhouse sits on top of it like a fucking mountain for a septic tank that never got emptied decades ago. Hi everybody, Future Will here. So I wanted to say some things just to get it out that I wasn't able to address in the video or expand upon on it because it didn't fit the narrative, it detracted from it in some way, having to explain things like that. So now I'm making this separate little portion at the end of it. Hello, this is the ending credits. So, first things first, I want to address and apologize to Samito first, because I had to use his Shill's video and him commenting on it and him being upset about that from GS Raiders' video. Okay, because there was that thumbnail I did put of him. I want to apologize using his forehead essentially to put in the text on there, the disclaimer that not everybody, actually had gone there for free and they actually paid for it and all that stuff. From the information that came out, and I don't know if this was just GS Raider ignoring some of the things from it, or maybe it didn't fit his narrative and it would have detracted from the point as well, or maybe it wouldn't have stuck comedically if he then said, well, I mean, not everybody in that picture did it. It's like, everyone's a shill, blah, blah. We let you find out that Flats and I believe Emong went as well, actually had to pay for it and out of their own pocket. So I wanted to say sorry to you, Samito, specifically, for me using your forehead essentially to fit all of that space, because I had to write that down. And when I looked at the picture, I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on in there. Where's a lot of space that has a lot of real estate? Oh yeah, he has a big forehead. Resize. Just put it right there. So I'm sorry for that. I do also want to thank you, because of you and your video about Marvel Rivals Alpha and how you express that, you get in there and people complain and it's really fun, made me want to go and actually do that. And so when I signed up for the alpha, I didn't get in, but when the beta rolled around, I did actually get into that, and it was very fun. And because of you specifically in that specific video, you had me talking about it, effectively put me on this current trajectory where I went from being a Overwatch content creator to now being a Marvel Rivals content creator, and how much fun I'm having doing that. And if it wasn't for you making that video, I don't know if I would be doing at least the content that I'm doing right now. So I want to thank you about that. I'm sorry again for, using your forehead. One quick question though I do have is, I'm still curious, because I did comment on one of your videos about your editor using the Subnautica intro music, the main menu music before you actually load into the game, as the background for one of your videos. I'm still curious if that's true, because I never got a response to that. That's the only thing that I have that I'm curious about, is if you could ever ask them. It's like, oh yeah, do you ever use this for a video? And they go, oh yeah. Then I'll be like, yes, I know. I'm not hearing things aside from other stuff. Never mind. Yeah. And I do want to thank you for that, and thank you for taking the time for watching this, if you are actually watching this. And I'm going to be thanking a lot of people in this. So if you want to know where you are, time code on the bottom. little red line right here. You see, there's a red line right here. Your name's gonna be here somewhere in there, and then that way you just click on it and go to your specific chapter. The next person I want to address was Flats. Now, I'm sorry that I had to use you as the example for the merry-go-round part, but it kind of was relevant, or you know, it made more sense for it in talking about it because the merry-go-round of that was from you. That's why I had to put you there and your Overwatch, mental health state kind of thing. And I originally was gonna use a more worse picture. Like whenever you pause a video or something and you see the person, they make a really weird face. Well, there was a picture of that on there, and I wanted to use that, but my girlfriend said no, that I would be a bit too mean. So I was like, you know what? We go ahead and use just a base resting bitch face kind of one. And I'm like, you know what? That kind of makes more sense, and that's kind of more funnier and less egregious in terms of humor poking. I am also, yes, I am that guy during your stream when you were ending it, when it was going from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2, and people were commenting. I was the one that said, I am the guy who spent $2,000 on Overwatch on loot boxes. That's me. Hi. I'm also the same guy that then said, "Oh, I'll challenge you, and my controller could beat your mouse keyboard," and you're like, "Nah, that's not gonna happen." And that made me switch from going from Overwatch 1 on console to then Overwatch 2 a little bit on console to then just being fully on PC and actually playing on there. And I did try to use a controller, and then I realized that that's not going to work, at least not on mouse and keyboard. The aim sense is, or not the aim sense, the sense of the whole game. I know everything's going around, all the surroundings, all the information about it. I have all that stuff that could help me. My game awareness for the whole thing. Turning, aiming on a controller, not as fast as mouse and keyboard. So that is, something that I had to essentially bite the bullet on and go, you know what? He's kind of right. Because my only experience playing with the mouse and keyboard was Minecraft. And I didn't play it on a mouse and keyboard. I played it on a laptop in 2011 when it was still freshly just Java and new. I was like, oh, I'll play Minecraft, and I played it. That was the only experience I ever had on that. Playing essentially on not a console. And because of you, I've now transitioned into specifically just playing PC games and using a mouse and keyboard, and it is amazing. It's fantastic. It is kind of hard to unlearn at that time 25 years of gaming, because all you do is just sit on controller, do this, use your Game Boy Advance. I didn't have a color, I just had the Game Boy Advance SD or SP, one of the two. Just playing with that, playing on the PSP. It's controllers the whole time, analogs the whole time. To then switching to a mouse and keyboard is different, but it's more rewarding and more enjoyable, and I have you to thank for that. Otherwise, I'd still be buying my games on Xbox or PlayStation Network and just getting them and playing on there with a controller, because no reason to learn that. Going from this for 2 years, it's amazing, and I honestly wish I had done it sooner, but that's just me. And I do want to thank you for that, and again, sorry for essentially making fun of you in that part. Still coming after you though. I'm still going to get you at some one day. That I'm going to get you. This old man's going to come after you and be like, "I'll show you what, I don't know, what old person skills can do or something." Granted, Frito is still older than us. And next person in the address, Frito. Now, I had you in like some of the comments here, obviously showing like your attention and your videos on arcade, or it being called Archives Plus. Now, the reason why I included that was because that was very much true, and I very much agree with it. We were very sad when we found out that all of this wishful thinking meant nothing. And I want to thank you for making these content videos and making these educational guides that I would use. How to play Reinhardt, how to play X character. I wouldn't have thought about playing them, but after watching your videos and understanding a bit of the mechanics behind it and their ability sets, that expanded my essentially my vision into, okay, well, I don't know how to play this character, but I at least know what they do, and over time will remember what their cooldowns are and get used to their cycles and help improve my gameplay experience and all that stuff. And the characters I do want to focus on, I get to have an educational guide and growing up to it. I mentioned that it was because of Bumper and San Francisco Shocks and Vancouver Titans that helped educate me on that. But that was from a perspective kind of view. That wasn't really educational. Understanding what they did and why they did that was why I went to you. And those videos will always be, great in my heart. The whole 5v5, 6v6 kind of thing. I mean, yes, I was a person who was on 6v6, and I did comment sometimes on the things that you do, but I never, at least never tried to be antagonistic, but more like questions, because no conversation, no fruitful developing conversation can come from simply waging a war against another person or being argumentative. That's not really constructive and doesn't really do anything other than cause people to be angry. So how can we go forward if we're constantly bickering in the same spot over something that we essentially will not have control over until the majority of the people say we don't like this? And when people just get used to this thing, that becomes the new norm, and then we start to become, well, I like 6v6. Well, here's your version of 6v6. It sucks. I never liked seeing people going after you for that. The same way I didn't like to see people going after Samito or Flats or any of you content creators that I thoroughly watch and enjoy. That was never fun or cool. And people suck. People are shit. What are you gonna do? But I did want to thank you for that. And I wish I could use more stuff from your in the video, but this is all I came up with. Was like, well, I know he did this, and this is the only time where it seems relevant, and we're making a point about it. But thank you for your educational comment, Frida. And last point, there were some things I had to retract inside of the video regarding, say, my ex-fiance at the time. My fiance at the time. So we ultimately did play together for a very long time, but ended up having to separate because my family sucks, and I did want to do this. The whole streaming stuff, all this Twitch stuff, making content. I wanted to do this back in 2018. That was 7 years ago. And it's kind of difficult when the person you were with, that you were with for that point, I want to say about 7 years. It's kind of hard to have that courage or that confidence to pursue your own things when literally the very person that you were choosing to spend the rest of your life with, because you've now taken that next step towards marriage, is now telling you that your ideas are dumb, that you're bad, you're not funny, that you shouldn't do this and just focus on your job because this isn't going to make money. You have to be successful to make money, and you're not successful. Just because you're starting out, you're not successful, so you're not going to make it. And, that's hard. Who knows where I would be if I didn't listen to her 7 years ago and did this. Instead of effectively just doing it last year. I didn't start doing this until, I want to say, officially, June or July of last year. Which is terrible because, I have videos and started making videos in 2020, 2021. It didn't happen until 3-4 years later when I actually got off my ass and started to do something about this. Mainly because of burnout. Because when you're trying to manage all this stuff, it's difficult. As content creators, it's difficult. Having to go to work, which I go to work and go work at a shitty job as a security guard. Granted, my job is pretty easy. All I do is drive around, look at a school and go, that's a school. And then drive to the next one. And that's all I do. I have a laptop that now helps me edit. So I no longer have to worry about getting home and then editing videos all the time. That I do get to have some of a mediation between that. And also, transitioning from that, my parents, my dad specifically, weren't very supportive of the stuff that I did. They thought it was dumb and they thought it was stupid. They still to this day don't really understand it and don't really like it. Because to them, they're old. They're like, well, that's not going to make you money. That's not a career. That's not a future. That's not go to college and get this thing. They don't understand what an influencer is. They don't understand what social media is. But their children are born in the 60s, my dad in the 70s, which is my mom. So different time. And, you know, I want to also give it a shout out to my girlfriend who's been helping me a lot with this. And it's not been easy. I've had to teach her how to do this stuff. And she also lives in the Philippines. So, you know, that's, you know, literally everything has to be done remotely in training her. And that's always the more interesting part of everything. But, you know, she literally was like, yeah, I support you. This is amazing. And when she lost her job, I'm like, hey, I make enough money. I could afford you. I'll just pay you this much. And she was like, sure, yeah. And it wasn't easy. Trust me, it was not easy having to teach somebody how to do this. But she's been doing it for over a year. And a lot of the content you've seen that's been coming out, you know, before I had to spend effectively like 2-3 weeks working on this video, was because of her. We try different ideas, we do different things, we workshop a lot of the things. She's not just a yes and kind of person. She's like, yeah, let's think about this. Yeah, it's a good idea, but maybe we could fine tune it a little bit. And I'm like, that's good, because before that, I would have breaks where I would get burned out and just not want to make content because I just didn't want to sit there and edit anything because it was difficult. Also, having ADHD doesn't help either. So I have to give a big shout out to her too, because if it wasn't for her, I would not be making this video right now, and I also wouldn't be making content because I would just be so tired. And we all get tired. Everybody gets tired. Even me, with the person who has boundless energy, is I effectively call myself a chaos gremlin, you know, or a trash raccoon. You know, I eat like shit. I also am unpredictable and very much insane when it comes to being outside as a person. You know, I enjoy that. I enjoy causing chaos. I'm not an asshole. Allegedly. But yeah, I want to thank her. I want to thank everybody who's watched this. There's exciting things coming for the channel. Make sure to, you know, subscribe. And I'll be having an announcement video regarding this specifically because you've noticed it. Resident Evil 1. I'm doing a playthrough of that one. You want to find out more information about that if you like stuff like that? Stick around. Look for my announcement video. And I'll have more information about that. I keep hitting this microphone. Damn it. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Will, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye. Money, 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 money.